Hello. Hi, everybody. It is Big Easiest Ways to Wellness. I am your host, Holly MacKenna from Dara Wellness, and I am here today with the amazing and fabulous Chef Amy Sins from Langlois, who has always been an inspiration to me, but now more than ever. She is doing a lot of outreach and amazing things with Hurricane Laura. Her story is one that's inspirational. And so I really just wanted to have her on to highlight how you can find your purpose and what that can lead you to and all the amazing things that come with that. So welcome, Chef Amy.
Hi, Holly.
Wonderful to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here and to be talking to all your people. There's so much good in the world, and I think it's time to celebrate it. So.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. With glitter and all the things that shine. So we're both muses. I should also give a shout out to the crew of muses. Indeed. So, Amy, tell me a little bit. I mean, I know this, but tell everyone else about what got you to where you are today, like your journey as far as, back when we first met, you were a pharmaceutical rep. Yep. And an amazing one because you do everything with style. But since then, you've evolved into your own entity and entrepreneurship and all the things.
Well, absolutely. And, I think we all go through phases in our life where we change and we do find our purpose. And, if I look back in when I was in college versus if I were to go to college today, I probably would study something totally different because at the time my purpose was different, right? But during Hurricane Katrina, our house was on the levee break of the 17th Street Canal. So that meant the big hole in the levee, all that mud and dirt was actually in my living room. So what you saw on TV with the helicopter and the sandbag was my backyard. And there was a moment where I kind of looked and said, well, there's no place like home. I wish I had magic ruby slippers, glitter ruby slippers that I could click together and go back home. And nothing can prepare you for being the person who needs help, and a lot of times we don't want to admit that we need help or we need a shoulder or a little step up. And it was a different situation for me to have strangers offering me help and guidance. Right. And there was a moment that I told some people that were helping us get our house, I said, I promise I will do anything I can going forward to pay it forward because I appreciate the generosity and the kindness of y'all as strangers. And that kind of started me on a journey of collecting stories from other people who were going through what I was going through and who had gone through Hurricane Katrina. And it all shaped around food because it's my happy place, but food evokes a memory. Every major event in our life is around food. So if it's a birthday party or a special celebration or even just a Sunday dinner, it kind of gives us that warm and fuzzy memory. So I started. Absolutely. I'm sorry.
I said absolutely, yeah.
So I started collecting recipes from strangers in the line at the grocery store. Hey, what you cooking with that? And decided that I was going to do something for myself, which was next time I evacuated New Orleans for anything, I wanted a book with all the best recipes that I could stick in my purse and bring with me because all of our family recipes flooded. And when you do something that your heart and soul is in, it kind of starts to take on a life of its own. And 9 months later, I published my first cookbook, and a portion of the proceeds gave back to a local wetlands relief. And I just felt like this is what I should be doing, is finding a way that I can connect people's stories, connect people, and bring them all around food. And that was just this moment where my life changed forever.
And Chef Amy was born.
Yes.
Or at least started wearing the hat. Right. I think she was always in there. Yeah.
And I think growing up in South Louisiana, food is all we talk about anyway. So I think all of us have a little chef inside of us every single day.
Right. No, it's true. I've done cooking classes with folks, and you just never know like what people's grandmas taught them. You know, that folks that you'd never expect know exactly how to hold a knife and how to cut and do all the things. And like you said, like people have recipes that have been passed down generation to generation, and oftentimes getting that book of recipes from your grandma is the greatest gift ever because it has all those memories associated with it, whether it be the taste or the smells or the actual sitting around the table with the people you love. What a gift, and so amazing to do that for people with the cookbook and with everyone involved.
As a little girl, my grandmother would have me sit at her table and she would like peel the little strings off the celery with a knife. And, you know, now that I cook, I'm like, you don't have to do that. And part of me goes, that was like our moment where she would make me sit still long enough to have a conversation with her. And it was because she was doing something with purpose and I was watching and participating. And it may not have been necessary, but it was that way that the food brought that love together.
You know, it's true. I think of my own kids with my mom making brownies, and that is something that is their thing. I wouldn't dare make brownies with my kids because that's something they do at Nana's house, and they're all about it. It's funny, like how you connect certain things with certain people, but it brings a lot of comfort, like you said, in times of need to have that special meal or special sauce that you had when you were a kid or had before a storm or a terrible event. And so that really is part of what you do now, huh? As far as with Langlois and with your outreach and.
Absolutely. So with all of the disaster outreach that we're doing, you know, it kind of started when there was a flood in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And it was about a year or so after Katrina, and my husband had just gotten in our house and we started watching the news and we were like, we saw it was flooding and we said, we should go help them. And literally got a group of people together, drove up to Iowa, and we did a big outreach effort. And I felt like it was a way for us who had knowledge to kind of bring it forward, but also maybe to flambe some sweet potatoes and Louisiana rum and make everybody happy. And, you know, you realize that a nice home cooked meal is very comforting. And if you've been, you know, cleaning your house or doing something, you want, you know, just because you're hungry doesn't mean your food should not be beautiful and delicious that people give us. And Chef Susan, a friend of mine, she says that all the time. And I absolutely agree, because just because you're hungry doesn't mean you should, whoever's serving it for you should plop it on a plate. It's not that you're not as valuable as everybody else, right? You're just in a different situation. So we try to put a lot of love in the food, and local New Orleans chefs really jump on board and start cooking in their restaurants. And we will bring the food out on site. We work with nonprofit groups, rogue do-gooders, and anyone who is willing to be a part of our network. And over the last, I'd say 7 years, that network is expansive. And we've gone from filling up the back of a pickup truck to today I'm buying 3 18-wheelers of water. And you realize, wow, when you have a network and everybody is working with a common purpose to do something good, amazing things happen.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we talk about purpose and folks wonder, you know, is this just to like give yourself a pat on the back or what have you? But when you look at people who actually have a purpose and are able to move in a way that's in alignment with their core values and do like what you've been able to do, it actually has great health effects also. It actually leads to longevity. Like they've looked at elderly folks who have been volunteering and their health improves. Your likelihood of developing dementia actually decreases by half in some cases. You also are going to experience less pain, believe it or not, because they've done studies on this, and less depression, less likelihood of feeling down about yourself. All these things are positive benefits of finding a purpose, and oftentimes that purpose involving giving back to others and kind of finding a greater good outside of yourself. And it makes sense when you think about it, but it's cool that science has also found that it actually does help us live healthier and longer and in a better place. So you mentioned your rogue volunteers. If we have folks who are watching us who want to be part of that, your rogue army, how would they do that?
Yes, they can go to our Facebook page. So it's Flood and Disaster Outreach New Orleans. And so it's Flood and Disaster Outreach NOLA. If you type that in on Facebook, it should pop right up. And you can go there and see what we need. And sometimes it's like, I just need 4 volunteers at Second Harvest to help them plate food. Yesterday, I had a gentleman, I just needed to drive from one part of town to the other part to deliver cardboard boxes. Sometimes it's like, does anybody have an 18-wheeler of ice? You know, so it gets people excited and people thinking and realizing how big and how massive this project is, because I'm just one person and there are all these big organizations doing the same thing. So we're constantly looking for volunteers to help out at Second Harvest Food Bank. If any of your viewers are in the Lake Charles area, we're working with Mercy Chefs, and on our Facebook page, you can see the address where you can just show up to volunteer. And then, you know, as I post things that, you know, if you're willing to throw an ice chest in the back of your car and drive it to Sulphur, Louisiana, then you may be our person too.
No, that's great. So it sounds like there's different levels of involvement for folks. Like maybe someone has a bad back and so they can't lift things, but there's other ways that they can contribute.
Absolutely. I have to say, shout out to 2 people. Beth, you know who you are. I love you because Beth she sent me a text a couple of days ago and said, can I just help you stay organized? And I was like, oh my gosh, please
That's
do
huge.
that. So she's tracking the spreadsheets and, you know, where things are going and who's getting what. And then Susan, oh my goodness, Susan has helped us get pricing on 18-wheelers of water and places for them to go. And then I'm working with an organization called Need Serve and the Jesus Alliance. And Annette over there I've never met Annette. We have worked on, I think, 3 or 4 disaster relief projects together. We have the same purpose, and we totally get each other's brains and how they think. And without her and her organization, we couldn't be efficient. But these are all people who are volunteering to help to do things remotely, right? So there's a lot of opportunity. And if we don't have a spot for you in what we're doing, there are so many organizations out there looking for volunteers right now.
So someone doesn't need to necessarily be a New Orleans chef to join the cause, it sounds like.
No.
Those of us who maybe aren't as talented in making a good roux could also do something that would be helpful.
Absolutely. Even just helping to package these meals and scoop them in the containers so we can seal them and send them out. They're doing that at Second Harvest. There's lines of people helping to do that. Or even working with some of your local churches to do a drive. We're working with Good Shepherd Church. And after all the water we received that we had to move physically ourselves, we decided next week, I think we're going to collect gift cards. Because we can buy the water and we can have it shipped. Or as we meet people and we're out in the field, families that are rebuilding, we can give them that gift card to help offset some of their personal expenses.
Oh, okay, so gift cards could actually work double in that, like you said, you could ship the water rather than having to pack it yourselves, or folks who are on site could give them to families. Because we all know, those of us who were in New Orleans before, during, after Katrina all know like how it's the most random things that maybe people who usually donate don't think of, like underwear, cleaning supplies, right now with the pandemic, also hand sanitizer, all of these are things. And we've talked about before we got on live how important water is right now, right? Because of the heat. And we do live on a swamp, and all of southern Louisiana is kind of in that swampy, hot North Caribbean heat. And so helping volunteers and folks who are cleaning their own homes stay healthy and hydrated is super important right now. So it sounds like there's a lot of different ways that things like gift cards can be used, and also the people can contribute directly themselves or monetarily, it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say the top things that we're seeing, one is water, packaged snacks, because they don't have running water or electricity. Yeah. So things like little cracker packs or power bars, Ensure drinks. Those are all really popular in need. Also 5-gallon gas tanks. Because if people are running generators, they can go fill those and use those. And we're also seeing a need for adult diapers. So things like Depends. And then clean socks, brand new socks, y'all. Clean underwear, brand new underwear, things that are not, haven't been worn. This is not the time to go and clean out your closet. As much as you want to help, it puts a burden on the organizations on the ground, because it requires twice as many volunteers to sort and organize clothes. They have to wash them and clean them before they could give them out. It's a logistical nightmare. Save those clothes, bring them to your local Goodwill or wherever they take those clothes, and instead, order something on Amazon and have it sent to any of these organizations. SBP has an Amazon wish list, and they are ordering things like tarps and cleaning supplies, and you can get it drop shipped directly to the charity.
And that's St. Bernard Project?
Yes, it's sbpusa.org. So sbpusa.org. Okay. And they're great. They have had runners every single day this week bringing out food and supplies that we've gathered out into the community. So
amazing.
They're hopping in their car, driving 4 and 5 hours, and then turning around and coming back. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you listing all the different ways, because I know for folks who, haven't experienced this themselves, they want to give back, but they don't necessarily know how. So this is great, especially because with the different levels, whether it be on site or, as we've said, sending something, you don't have to necessarily live in Louisiana to do this. You can, be in Iowa. Maybe maybe someone who's watching is someone who you helped and they want to pay back. This is a great way to do it, is to look up these organizations, get onto your Facebook page, and find ways to get a gift card to somebody.
Absolutely. And if I could tell you one little story about people giving back, I got a call the other day that brought me to tears. Happy tears, sad tears, all the tears. And it was a group that was in Myrtle Beach, who, when they had their hurricane, we had chefs here in New Orleans prepare meals, freeze them, and actually a group airlifted them for us to Myrtle Beach to get them out to the community. The Myrtle Beach Culinary Institute, Chef Jeff, they went ahead and distributed all those meals to the community. And he called me the other day and said, we are sending 30,000 individually wrapped cookies for y'all to give out.
Oh my goodness. I'm like,
all of his students, they had a fundraiser for something else, for a trip that they were going to take. And with COVID, they couldn't take the trip. So they said, send that money to go and buy pallets and trucks of cookies to give out. And it's just like, that is what it's about. We give to the next person and the next person. And hopefully that cycle just continues for people.
Right. I mean, I find it's, the folks from New York who came down and helped us because they'd had people help them with 9/11. And then, as you said, us, folks from New Orleans paying back in the way that we do best, which is hospitality and food. And, and then other folks getting inspired. I love that. That's the humanity of it is wonderful. And I love that it's cookies too, because as you've said, folks are hungry, but that little touch of love that's added with it feeds your soul in a way that, just some slop on a plate can't necessarily. Just knowing that someone cared enough to want to get that to you in a special way, it means a lot.
It does.
So,
it does.
Yeah. Well, I know that you're super busy. I mean, as for folks who don't know Amy, as she and I got on together before to go live, I was literally hearing her doing all the calls and all the things to make everything happen. So thank you so much for giving us this, these minutes, and probably giving up your lunchtime to spread the word. I appreciate it so much. I adore you. I am honored to be your friend. And with that, I'll let you skedaddle to your next part of your very large project. And hopefully folks who are watching will tune into to that group, and I'll put it up here again, and help out. Do what you can.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.